Rick Green. Rick, you heard all of those raging leftist, liberal, socialist, Marxist, communist, liberals responding to the SCOTUS leak on Roe v. Wade. I think we should remind them of what President Ronald Reagan said on this issue. I've noticed that everyone who is for abortion has already been born. Rick, your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Greg, I always enjoy your commentary, but that commentary earlier, just a few minutes ago, probably the best I've ever seen. That was phenomenal. You're spot on. I don't even know how to get in the minds of these people that could be standing there with their baby girl and say, I'm glad my baby girl's alive, but I can't have her live in a place where other kids get to live. I can't even get my head wrapped around that. I got to tell you, this decision or this just draft opinion by Sam Alito is phenomenal. If this ends up being the final opinion, if this does actually end up with either a 5-4 or 6-3 vote when they finally do the final vote, it is a restoration of not only life, it's a restoration of the Constitution. He makes all the right arguments in this decision about why the court was so wrong 50 years ago and why the Constitution gives the federal government limited power and that so many of these things should have been left to the state. It's basically a restoration of federalism. So I am very excited for the life issue. This is why most of us got involved in the political arena over the last 20, 30 years, was to restore life and get rid of abortion. But this will not do that completely. As everybody knows, you've already talked about that. This just sends it back to the states. So I'm excited about that, but I'm also excited about just the restoration of our system itself. Some
states will be pro-life and some will be pro-choice.
That's right.
Listen, the government's good at moving people around in the night. They can move people over to a pro-death state if they want to. All right, let's take a moment to listen to the DH Secretary Mayorkas. He's one of your favorites, on his disinformation governance board pick for director.
Less fertilizer is coming out of Russia. As a result, we're working with countries to think about natural solutions like manure and compost, and this may hasten transitions that would have been in the interest of farmers to make eventually anyway.
Okay, I don't know if that's the same story that was supposed to be there. Do you think George Orwell would have approved to qualify the woman that he's approved? I call her Scary Poppins as the Minister of Truth.
Yeah, at least this time she wasn't singing, right? This shows how far gone we are in Washington, D.C., just how messed up it is, how crazy the Democrat Party is at this point. I mean, they truly are Orwellian, and this is definitely a 1984 Ministry of Truth that's been created here in a law enforcement agency. That's the really worst part of this. I mean, if they were doing like some recommendations, that'd be bad enough. Colluding with big tech, bad enough. This is a law enforcement agency that has some pretty powerful police powers in our country, and we're going to marry that with disinformation and the ability to silence anyone that disagrees with the government. It's been bad enough over the last 2 years. This just takes it to a whole nother level, and I think it's, again, pushing people to the right, pushing people out of being just kind of moderate or maybe even liberal to saying, you know what, this is not freedom. I want the principles of liberty, and freedom of speech is at the heart of that. So I think it's going to just create a longer window of opportunity to convert millions of Americans to good principles.
All right. The state of Connecticut is full of supporting cultural madness with their new state policy that says students can change their gender identity at any time without proof, documentation, or parental permission. How do you think that's going to play out in schools?
It's going to cause more and more people to join Kirk Cameron and this movement towards homeschooling and private schooling. But even private school, you've got to be careful because a lot of this wokeism and transgenderism has moved into the private schools as well. So I'm thrilled with what Kirk is doing with this movie next month. Encourage people to go watch that and encourage people to just get your kids out of these indoctrination camps. The worst part of it is the things they're doing in secret. They don't even want the parents to know about it. And the fact that that was uncovered last summer, thank you, Loudoun County and Terry McAuliffe and the whole Virginia debacle, the fact that that was uncovered there has awakened people all the way across the country. I was in Washington State the last few days, and parents are livid. They are out in numbers, and they are ready to vote. They're engaged. So, again, a wonderful opportunity for millions of people to be converted to the principles of liberty, and the homeschooling movement is just going to continue to explode.
I believe you're right. Rick, before we finish up, would you answer Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's question on Twitter? Where's the outrage from all the pregnant men?
Well, I haven't been able to contact any because I can't find any pregnant men to poll on this one. So, yeah, no doubt. And just last thing I'll say on this whole decision that may or may not be the final decision. Praise the Lord for this victory. Let's not, I guess, celebrate too much too early because anything could happen at this point. But I just want to encourage everybody, pray for these justices, pray for their safety, pray for the people that will make the decisions in the next few days on whether or not to go ahead and do the decision now and not wait 2 months because of the rioting and things that are sure to come if they don't hurry up and get this thing done. So be praying for this, folks. This is a big, big moment in our history.
I've got about 30 seconds here. I want to get your thought on last night's primaries, especially in Ohio, with the Trump-endorsed candidate for U.S. Senate.
Yeah, I thought we had two great candidates in Josh Mandel and J.D. Vance. I don't know if Trump was the reason that it pushed that over the top. I know Josh Hawley and Charlie Kirk and a lot of others got on J.D.'s bandwagon there towards the end. So, I'm excited. I love seeing young blood. I love seeing people get elected to the U.S. Senate that have never been in office before because it brings in fresh perspective. They haven't just been a part of the swamp and all of that. So I think this is exciting. I would have been happy with either of those top two, and I think it's good for America to send in these young guys that are ready to shake up the apple cart a little bit.
I agree with you. Rick, we'll be back in a moment. Mike, back to you.